understood. Same stand for nothing name, the way we ever could. See everything that's going.
So I play mostly bars and restaurants and clubs and stuff like that, and those have, you know, largely shut down or been limited in capacity. And even when they aren't completely shut down, the first thing they cut is the musicians. So you know, it's been slim pickings basically. So I'm okay, but not everyone is, and yeah, and especially I guess musicians or any service industry work, any gig workers. The gig economy has been devastated.
Time to beat the system, standing at a distance.
For the time being, let's slow things down instead of stop them, because right now there's a precipice, and if we go over that, we're going to have to shut everything down completely. So,
are you here in town? Are you local?
Yeah, I live in San Antonio. My name's Forrest. I play around for a living, and yeah, I make a decent living here in town and love the scene. It's a good joint, it's a good town for it. A lot of up and coming. The economy's good. A lot of service industry here. A lot of growth. So yeah, it's a killer town.
As someone who goes to Austin frequently and the music scene's huge over there, how would you say the difference is between the San Antonio music scene and the Austin scene? Because I know it's very different. Do you play there at all, or do you just here?
I do some private stuff up there and corporate stuff. It's so saturated up there. I kind of mostly, you know, stay down here. There's a lot of killer music in Austin. There's a lot of killer music in San Antonio.
Yeah.
It's just a different town. Austin's more dense and it has that reputation. San Antonio's a little sleepier, but still a lot of fantastic musicians here at venues. And
I think San Antonio could use a lot more live music. I know it was bigger for a little while and it seems like it kind of died down, but San Antonio definitely, I think it could use a lot more live music and things like that.
And so one thing, speaking of COVID, speaking to that, that's one thing that was and some unfortunate timing. Of course, you know, I'm blessed, and not to slight anyone's misfortune. There's a lot of folks who've passed and been seriously ill. But an unfortunate thing for the town at this time is that we've been on our way towards growing in terms of service venues, live music, food. You know, we've become more metropolitan, say, and there are a lot of great players down here. There just hasn't been the scene. But we've been, over the last 10 years, it's been coming up and growing, the music scene. And so this is really unfortunate timing, because there were a lot of new venues that were forced to shutter or shut down or slow down, or it really put a hit on everything. But
if young and upcoming musicians were to see this, what advice would you give them if somebody who is looking to get into music, or if they are into music and they wanted to do more? What kind of things would you recommend as someone who's been experienced with it like yourself?
Yeah, so sure, it's a grind. You know, first of all, don't get disheartened. Try not to. You're gonna, you know, there'll be ups and downs, and it's a long road to hoe. It's a long way. As AC/DC says, long way to the top if you want to rock and roll. It's always been true.
Yeah.
But yeah, practice. You know, learn your craft, hone your craft. Don't, you know, especially if you're young, don't fantasize about being a rock star. You know, dig in and put in the work. You know, if you look around, there's this misconception that, you know, it's either nothing or rock star, and the reality is that most of us live in between. Even fantastic musicians, those far better than I. But there's a lot of us that make our living playing music. But you have to put in the work. You have to grind it out. You know, you have to you put in your failures, and there's a lot of rejection. So just prepare yourself for that, but don't get discouraged. But practice. You know, rehearse, get your craft down, little by little, consult with others, and just, you know, step it up. You know, don't dream of being a rock star. Just, you know, pay your dues and put in, and hustle as much as you can. But, you know, just keep your eyes one step at a time. And if you do that realistically, just like any other job, you know, treat musicianship like any other job. You know, put in the time, put in the work, demonstrate your commitment, and then there are all those opportunities. But it's going to take a while, so just do the work, basically. You know.
Nice. Do you like to be out on your own and kind of make your own way as far as get your own gigs and play by yourself? What's your preferred kind of style, I guess, as travel? Do you just find your own gigs, or do you like to play in a lineup with other people?
Well, so I mostly do solo stuff. The most fun thing is to play with other folks. Most musicians know that it's just the most fun to play with other folks. But then you have to split the take, so that makes it hard to make a living. So to be completely candid, that's why a lot of us do solo work, is so that we don't have to split the take. But it's always fun. There's always just a different energy, a vibe. It's just like anything. Most things are more fun with other people.
Oh yeah.
So it's the same joint. There's a vibe. There's a response and interplay that just makes things more exciting, interesting, fun. So I always love playing with other people, and so we're struggling to get musicians constantly in every city, every country around the world, I'm sure, are constantly pushing, encouraging audiences to appreciate it more, for venues to appreciate it more, for cities. And San Antonio, again, has been really good about building it up and subsidizing and building the scene so that we can have, instead of just solo artists, we can have duos and trios and full bands. But it takes money, we need to get paid, especially if you want professional quality music. You need professional musicians, which means you need to pay them enough to make a living at it.
Right.
So I love playing with other folks. I encourage, go see live music when you can, when it's safe. Talk to your city council and encourage the scene. Tip your musicians, because the more you encourage and financially support us, then the better quality music you'll get. I'll say that, in a nutshell. But yeah, I love playing with other musicians. There's nothing more fun. And of course you can see it, just like on ACL, Austin City Limits or whatever, or any festival. Go to Sam's Club when they have the jams here in San Antonio.
Yeah.
Sam's Burger Joint is a fantastic venue, or Luna. Go check it out. When you see, 2, 3, 4, or 5 people vibing off one another, it's euphoric. It's a fantastic. It's inexplicable. It's undescribable. But that's the goal, is to do that. So, yeah.
Trust your television, yeah. It is what you got. All the information, Lord, you're gonna run it all they want. Don't wait.
How long have you been playing live music?
So I've been making a living for maybe about 10 years. So when you say live music, I've been making a living probably for about 10 years or so, but I've been playing for a long time, much longer than that, since I was a kid. I've been playing some kind of instrument, and before that, listening to music. And so I was blessed to be, my family was into it, and it was always around us, and my mom played guitar and stuff like that, so I'm super privileged. So that's, I had a lot of help on the way up. But then, I've spent a lot of hours while Cats was out partying, at home, just with my guitar in my lap, just hanging out and playing, or hanging on the piano or whatever. So.
How many different instruments do you play? I saw you playing a guitar, then you had some...
I play guitar and a little bit of hand percussion, but not really. I'm learning to play the kit drums, and I grew up as a child playing classical piano, but almost all that's forgotten. I keep good time and pitch, so I could definitely get back to those. I just need to dust off the keyboard of the house, but really just guitar. And it's the only one I'm really proficient at.
Waiting on the world to change. Keep on waiting. Waiting on the world to change.
When I play it, the airport's pretty chill for a show, so I typically just bring one guitar to this gig. And but when I play, clubs and stuff like that, I'll take a couple of guitars, primarily just in case a string breaks, so as not to stop the show.
Right.
But now I've built it up where I've got matching guitars. I'll usually bring one with single coils and one with humbuckers to make different sounds, different kind of pickups, and then switch them out. I've got them color coordinated with all my gear now and all this mess.
Nice.
So everything's kind of showy now. I've come to the point where I can do that, and it plays really well with the audience. I started in the street in sneakers with a beat-up acoustic guitar, so I usually take a couple guitars to shows. One single coil, one humbucker. And then the pedals is a whole show in and of itself. I just got a bunch of different effects that are tons of fun to use, and 3 or 4 different kinds of overdrive, which is of course just about every electric guitarist.
Yeah.
I can't imagine one who doesn't like distortion or overdrive, and so that's a whole other world, you know, in and of itself. But yeah, the gear is fun, you know. But you know, I'll say this: all the gear in the world won't help you if you can't keep pitch and time. Like right here, here's Prince playing. This is a perfect example. This came on in the background. Here's Prince, who was a pioneer in terms of his effects, synthesizers and stuff. But right here, that's just simple. That's funky 70s guitar right there. That's all that is, and that's the bass for that. And a little bit of cheesy clap track instead of the snare drum. But right there, like that's pretty bare bones, and everyone recognizes that. So like, the more you get back to that, just simple, just rhythm and groove and pitch, you know, then you lay on the effects after that. That synth right there. So right in there it comes. You got to build it, and that's just how growing and playing is. You know, get the fundamentals, get pitch and time, and then add the effects. You know, it's icing on the cake. But if you ain't got no cake, you know, what's the icing gonna do?
Yeah.
In the world to change.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna let these cats board. My name's Austin Forrest.
If somebody wanted to see you here locally, play somewhere, where's somewhere that they could see you? If gig work was back to normal, do you have residency anywhere, or do you just like to always do freelance and
No,
go when you can?
there are several places. Normally, I play at Papado seafood restaurant. I play often at La Cantera Spa and Resort out there. I play at there's so many joints. Occasionally at the Rustic. But the best way to find me is to look at austinforrest.com and find my schedule there. Right now, everything's laid out because really it's crushed us. All I'm doing right now is private gigs and the airport. So really, like everything of mine has dried up. There's still some folks, you know, doing stuff around, but it's kind of solo acoustic gigs, and I've kind of settled into this, and I would rather just let those cats take those gigs, which, you know, everyone needs it, and then just wait till the scene comes back, come and get it back into my regular thing. But the best way to find me eventually is at austinforrest with 2Rs.com and find my schedule there. And you can, my Facebook is Austin Forrest Music, again with 2Rs. So I'd really appreciate it if you hit my page. I'm terrible with social media, but I'm on Facebook. So hit me at Austin Forrest Media. Austin Forrest Music. On Facebook.
Austin Forrest Music on Facebook?
Yep.
Okay.
And you can find all my gigs there and a bunch of clips and stuff. So, yeah, on Facebook, Austin Forrest Music with 2Rs. Lots of clips, my schedule when it picks back up. You can find me there. So just like my page and you'll be hooked up with everything.
Perfect. Well, it was great talking to you. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, brother. I appreciate it.